it is very, very important to be professional in their fields. Once you excel in what you are doing, a point will come where you'll not be the one looking for the jobs, but the jobs will be looking for you. So be professional, be alert with what is going on in the industry, and also register with the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers and the Engineers Registration Board, and that way you'll be able to benefit from the wider engineering fraternity, so that you can grow in your career and be able to earn well. Thank you very much.
The review of the summit is happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's only on Creative Industry Talk, and people have been writing to me from all over Benin, name it, Nigeria. I've interacted with people in Nigeria, and everyone is saying, well, I'm in the conversation, okay, we wish we could have the same, all the people who went 3,000 people can actually be able to give their feedback. But there was also a feeling that, France should have paid all the bills, that some people were given the air ticket, they have to take care of themselves when they were there. So there was assumption that everyone who was invited could have had a certain amount of money, but Africa has a number of challenges. I could be a very good business person, but if you give me the treat like that, I think is everything. So some people came with a different feeling altogether. What was the feeling like from the Ugandan camp? Uganda took the biggest number.
I think, I don't know, I think there are more other countries that really took a big number.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say, I wasn't really camping with them. And actually, I met a few of them. I just bumped into some and be like, hey, you're here. Yeah. What are you doing? I knew some who were there, like Daudi and others. So, but again, I think going back to this whole issue of who paid the bill and what, I think sometimes people miss the point.
Yes.
And also sometimes we tend to think that when you're invited, someone has to take care of you. I think, yes, they paid for my ticket and my hotel, but they didn't feed me, and I didn't complain. But I felt like my feeding myself was valid because I had a very relevant reason why I was there. I wasn't there just to be part of the conversation. I was giving a presentation, I was meeting with ministers, I was meeting with the stakeholders, and I was there for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look at why did France pay all the food and everything that, they already did me a favor to invite me, because it was also a very long process to get invited to this event. Yes, it was a very difficult process. First of all, you had to be fully vaccinated. If you're not fully vaccinated, then you could go a week before and be quarantined for 7 days. Then if you test negative, you can have access to the space. So there was a long process. And that whole process cost the French government a lot of money, And when we were returning, we all got our COVID vaccinations for free. So we didn't have. So these are the things that we also have to look at. I think we have to look at the reasons why we were there. I was not there to take selfies. I was not there to just be part of the gathering. I was there for a reason, and I felt like I needed to achieve some of the things that I need to achieve because I'm just there, and the conference is for one day. I need to take advantage of my time and the people who are there to get something out of it. So I managed to build onto my contact list. I managed to meet important people that I think I'm going to engage with in the future, and I'm looking forward to working with the Institut Français, with the Minister of Commerce, the French Development Agency, because I realized that when you have a conversation, even if their policies and agendas are not in line with what you're doing, they can start thinking around, okay, what is the added value here? And if you can make a good case, then they would slowly start coming into the case. And I think the steps are already there. So I'm totally not, into why I wasn't given money for food, but everything else was taken care of, and I totally got value for the time I spent there. Welcome to This Week. Our speaker is Reem Kasim from Alexandria, Egypt.
Our observations so far after hosting nearly 25 events during the past 9 months are that we've seen that audiences, they have the tendency to pay for the online content.
What motivates me doing what I do every day is to bring back the original sound, the sound of Africa, the sound of Rwanda, and keeping alive African music.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Welcome to the CEO Bench. Good morning Kampala, good morning Uganda, and good morning Africa. How are you all doing? Welcome to the CEO Bench, which happens every Friday morning. And of course in the studio this morning is a very special morning, and particularly a morning that brings you the former ED of Kampala Capital City Authority, Engineer Andrew Chitaka. Welcome to the program. How are you, Engineer?
I'm fine.
We cannot greet now, but we can do this.
Indeed, yeah. Yes.
Yes, and welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm fine, Eddie. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
And how have you been?
I've been all right.
Okay.
Trying to adjust to the new life.
Yes.
Trying to reclaim my space, my private space. Yes. But generally, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yes.
We just want to have a moment with you. It's been a while since we last spoke, and when we spoke in your office, we were making some very big presentation of some ideas we have for Kampala going forward.
Yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of things changed at City Hall, but we're still on course with that discussion and with the new team, and hoping that we can further the discussion going forward.
Good, good.
We'd like to have you, glad to have you on the bench this morning. This program specifically looks at the CEO and Executive Director, people of your caliber, and we tend to bring you to a moment where we have a discussion either those who are still on the hot seat,
Yeah.
like you, or those who have come out of the hot seat and now moving forward.
Okay.
And we tend to get into your life to basically see how you're doing and how are things going. If you're still there, how is the fire? If you're out of the fire, how is it out in the cold and all that stuff? Yes. So welcome to the CEO Talk.
Thank you very much.
As a dog here, we toast to the coffee.
Let's toast.
Yes, and we toast to the coffee, and welcome to the coffee.
Thank you.
This coffee we're taking here is supplied by Endiro Coffee, and of course coming from Bududa. We
Bududa.
tend to
Great.
support the people from the local farmer and to make sure they have value. So Andrew, welcome to the CEO.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
We want to start from a very specific point of view. First of all, who is Andrew Chitaka in a nutshell?
Well, in a nutshell, Andrew Chitaka is right here sitting before you. I am a civil engineer by profession. I also specialized in transportation engineering. That is the branch of engineering which deals with road construction and also traffic management, the traffic that moves on the roads.
Yeah.
So I did that way back in 2001 in the Netherlands. And since 1992, I've been a practicing engineer till now, which is about to make 29 years of service. I've been active I started in the private sector, that was engineering consultancy. I joined government. I worked for a long time in the road sector. And then I worked also for the European Union, again in infrastructure. And from there, I joined KCCA, and that was my last posting, and actually the longest. I didn't know it would be the longest, but it actually turned out to be the longest. 9 years at KCCA, you can imagine what you can go through there. So I'm right now out of KCCA, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to do, as we shall further elaborate here.
All right. We would like to, if you're joining us from wherever you are all across the world, this is the CEO Bench, where we talk things to do with change management and what's next for a leader. If a leader is done and is moving, where are they going? What are they up to? Can we get into the future focused of them and to know what they are up to? But particularly, this guest is very important because he's a former executive director who took over from Jennifer Musisi at City Hall, and you've heard his credentials are quite very elaborate. And Andrew, as a child, did you have a dream? And what was your dream like?
Yes, certainly I had a dream. First and foremost, when I was still an infant, I used to read these storybooks, Peter and Jane. I don't know whether you ever had a look at it.
Yes.
There's a storybook called Peter and Jane.
Yes.
And in that book, there were these two characters, Peter and Jane. They had their nice dog. And then in that book, there's something that really caught my eye. There was a time when there was a fire somewhere, and then the firemen came. And they were so smart in their red uniform and what. I said, oh, maybe I should be a fireman.
Yeah.
But then that later changed as I went to school. I started to realize what I'm good at. I also had people who inspired me in life. I had my elder brothers who became engineers, and I started asking them about the engineering. What do you really need to do to become an engineer? They said, well, you need to be good at mathematics. I said, well, I'm not too bad at mathematics. Maybe I can become an engineer.
Yes.
And I went to, when I went to primary at Buganda Road, I completed my primary 7 at Buganda Road. I passed it very well and went to King's College, Budo.
Yeah.
And by then I was really sure that I think my talents are within sciences.
Yes.
So I started working to become an engineer. And it thank God, it became a reality in 1992 when I completed at Makerere.
Okay.
So my dreams started very early, but they later changed as I went through school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever have a say in your dream?
Yes, they did.
Growing up, parents usually want to decide where we would want to be and what we want to do.
Yeah.
Was that the case with yours?
That's right. Actually, parents always they want their children to be in certain areas, certain professions, and rightly so, because they invest so much in you, in education and all those things that they do for you.
Yeah.
So actually, my father wanted me to be a doctor, medical doctor.
Was he a doctor himself?
He was not a doctor. My father was a teacher. He was a mathematics teacher in Agre Memorial School. He later left it and worked in Makerere Medical School as a librarian. He retired in the 70s. He's now, he passed on. Yeah, rest in peace. So he wanted me to be a doctor. And I think he wanted to diversify because he had seen two of his boys become engineers. He said, no, you can't all do engineering.
So but he was teaching mathematics, which is a good thing. So he sort of like laid the foundation for the engineering.
Exactly, he laid the foundation. So he wanted me to be a doctor, and I was quite sensitive to what he wants, really. I tried my best, but as things turned out, at my A level, I happened to perform much better in mathematics than biology. Although I still passed biology. So when I went to my HSC in Miriango, he told me, try to change to do PCB.
Yes.
So I sincerely went to my my teacher, my careers master. I told him, look, I want to change from PCM to PCB. He said, okay, let me look at your grades. No way. That was his answer. He said, no way. There's no way we can give you this PCB when you scored so highly in maths, much better in biology. So I now braced myself for the trip home to tell my dad that they have refused to change my combination. Although deep inside I was quite happy that I was going to do something I really like. So
you decided, yes.
So at that point, I decided, well, I'm going to do mathematics. And I'm going to become an engineer. He was not so happy about it. But he later accepted it. But again, he still had a hand in the engineering because he said, if you're doing engineering, do civil engineering.
Why civil engineering, by the way?
Well, civil engineering is a very wide field. It's a very wide field. And actually, it is the field that is most funded in most cases. If you look at infrastructure, it all lies in civil engineering. Be them roads, water, structures, all that traffic management, all that is under civil engineering. And there tends to be, even so long ago, there tended to be so many more jobs in that field than in the other branches of engineering, like electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. So I think that's why he thought so. And I also found it actually useful to follow that advice.
I want to just get through to you, Andrew, straight away to a more interesting question. How long have you been an engineering professional, by the way?
Well, I've been, it's now about 28 and a half years. I graduated in 1992 and I started practicing straight away. So I'll be making 29 years in June this year.
And how's the journey been like for you? I mean, most young people today are struggling to get a job, struggling to make ends meet, struggling. We seems to be, statistics actually has it that we have 80,000 people graduating from universities every single year.
Correct.
And we don't have jobs. How has it been like for you, and where do you see your children as an engineer going forward in this era?
Well, it has been a struggle because you can imagine this country has gone through a lot of turmoil. Around 1992, it was only 6 years after the new government had come in place. The economy was still struggling. And when the economy is struggling, it means that there's less work There's less investment in infrastructure, so that means there are less jobs out there. So it was a struggle getting a job, but I thank God that I got it immediately. I got out of university, and since then I've always been getting jobs. Of course, now it's a little different. Back then, I think the private sector was much weaker than it is now.
Okay.
At least now it has advanced very much.
Yeah.
The private sector should be able to provide more jobs than even government.
Yes.
If the economy grows to the levels that we want it to be.
Yeah.
So now it's stronger. There are more jobs in the private sector coming up, but still not enough because the population has increased so much.
Okay.
So there is a lot that needs to be done. I think the potential of the private sector is not yet fully utilized because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk about value addition in the agriculture sector, in the mineral sector. If there's enough investment in those areas, I think it can create enough jobs for our children and grandchildren.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to take you to question number 4, Andrew, which is let's talk about your journey at City Hold and the foray into the executive director's office, which is as Andrew Chitaka,
Very
and as
interesting.
well as the director engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011.
Yeah.
And before then, I was working for the European Union here in Uganda.
Yeah.
I was an officer in the infrastructure section. So I could look at Kampala and see, I think we need a very strong leader in Kampala. We need to change so many things in Kampala so that we can be like other cities around the world.
Having grown up and lived and studied in Netherlands, so
Yes.
I can imagine, yes.
Yes. So I was really, when I got the opportunity,
Yeah.
I was very eager to come to KCCA
Yeah.
because I could see that there was so much work to do there. And it would be also a fulfillment because I'm a resident of Kampala. I've seen Kampala in the 70s when I was in primary, in the 80s, in the 90s, and I've always longed to see a city that is befitting of this country. So when you get the chance to be part of that change, I think I felt very excited about it. But of course, there were challenges, even in KCCA.
Yes.
I remember when I was leaving the EU,
Yes.
I was speaking to my boss then,
Yes.
the ambassador, and he was telling me, fine, you can join KCCA. It's going to be a little different
From here, yeah.
from here,
Correct.
because here it is a very quiet place.
Yeah.
You can do your work quietly,
And nobody.
and nobody bothers, but you're going to be in the limelight there.
Yes.
A lot of forces. So he wished me well.
Yes.
I left after 3 years and I joined KCCA.
Okay.
And one would say all hell broke loose. Because
Yes.
you can imagine coming from a place with
Yeah.
so many well laid out systems
Correct.
to a place where you have to put the systems in place
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
It was quite chaotic.
Okay.
Quite chaotic in the beginning. The infrastructure was in tatters, and it had been so for a very long time.
Yeah.
The work ethic and the mindset of the people in the place was so different from what I was used to. It was chaotic, very chaotic. But we started working with the team that was led by Jennifer Musisi.
Yes.
We worked very hard. But we could also see that there were so many obstacles.
Yes.
So many obstacles. We had a very small budget in the beginning. But we also had very little absorption capacity because even if they had suddenly dished so much money to us, there were no systems in place. We couldn't procure fast enough. We had very poor contractors. So we had all those challenges, and in my Directorate of Engineering and Technical Services, we had to start so many things afresh. We had to bring on board competent service providers to do the roads, to repair the drainages, to repair the lighting. It took quite some time, but with consistent hard work, we started realizing some change. Of course, the expectations of the people was up there in the clouds.
Yes.
The people wanted a city. People are well traveled now. They want to see organized space. They want to move in peace on the streets. They want to have quality space on the streets. So they had so many expectations, and they wanted it yesterday. You know, because they had seen chaos for too long. They wanted change to take place almost immediately, which was not possible. So that was a big challenge. But we worked consistently, and with time, we started getting confidence of the development partners. They started funding projects in Kampala. Some of them are still ongoing. One notable project was the Kampala Institutional and Infrastructure Development Project, funded by the World Bank, where we did so many roads. And after its completion, we went into phase 2. Other development partners like JICA came on board, the European Union, Bill and Melinda Gates, KfW, so many. They came on board to start supporting because they had confidence in
the system was now working.
And the system is now working. And I believe they are still continuing to support. So that was working well. We prepared so many master plans for future development of the city. You see, not everything can be done in your time. But it's very important to lay the foundation and to lay the path for development. So we prepared so many master plans. We prepared the drainage master plan, which lays out everything that needs to be done to stop flooding in Kampala. It's only waiting for funding. We prepared the transport master plan. It's also there. And we have also initiated so many other projects. Some of them are still on paper. Others are just starting. So I think if all that is implemented, we get the funding for it, this city has the potential to change in about 3 years from now, to be a world-class city.
But how is it going to change, Andrew, when almost the old team that started, the visionary team that came to City Hall, are almost all out of City Hall? Do we have the continuity coming in from the new team? Do we have that?
Well, first and foremost, staff cannot be static in one place for so long. KCCA has been in place for 9 years, and you can't expect that the entire team which started it would all be available at this point in time. People move for various reasons, but I think the most important thing is to lay the foundation and to also put systems in place. If the new team can build from the foundations that have been laid and also use the systems in place instead of building something afresh, I think there will be continuity. Kampala has been on a positive trajectory for a very long time, for all the time that we've been there. So I think if they do that, they'll keep on that positive trajectory, because whenever you try to do something afresh, to reinvent the wheel, you end up losing a lot of institutional memory. You waste a lot of time. So many of these things have been laid down. They just need to get hold of them and move forward. Of course, there's always room for improvement. You can refine them a bit as you move forward instead of starting afresh. Then I think Kampala will continue to look good.
All right, Andrew, just before we go into our first break, if you're joining us from anywhere in the world, all across the world, we are live on Twitter at HTV1 Uganda, so you can watch and follow this interview with Andrew Chitaka, engineer, the former executive director of Kampala Capital City Authority, anywhere, wherever you are, as long as you have internet and you have data. If you're in Uganda, it might be a bit tricky, but if anywhere in the world, you will be happy, and you can follow Andrew on this. And we're live on Facebook at, of course, House of Talent Uganda, streaming, and I'm going to be opening up the line for your comments and kisses and disses coming in for the former executive director. I've already received quite a number of them from from last night when we posted this morning, and I would want to encourage all of you out there to actually send in your comments and questions. I know you have many burning issues. Some of you have been asking if we can bring Jennifer Musisi back to Kampala, and you want to skin Andrew also for some of the things, the flooding that is happening in Kampala, as the person who has been at the Directorate of Engineering and KCCA. We're going to talk to Andrew about that, to ask actually if what he says at the foundations, where are the problems, where the loose ends in Kampala, and how can we, pick from there and move forward. And of course, we are live on YouTube at our studio, and everyone on YouTube, all the 1.8 million people all across the world, we thank you. Engineers all around. I see Professor Penny Nachayo in the US. Thank you very much, Prof. And of course, my friend Edwin in Germany, thank you very much. And all the guys in the US and in Australia, we'd like to say thank you very much. Andrew, before we go for a break, I want you to enjoy your coffee. But my next question to you is that the foray into the executive director.
Yes.
You took over from Jennifer Musisi when she left.
Correct.
And you worked with Jennifer Musisi. She was your executive director before.
Correct, yeah.
Many of us think that you did very well, but we want to know the consistent, you were never confirmed. You kept acting, and many times the information will say, even me one time I sent you a message when they said, he has now been confirmed. The president keep moving with his letter in the bag to see, yes.
Should that question be coming to me or to the appointing authority?
It should be coming to you. What happened? What happened? But first of all, how did you end up in the executive director's office?
Well, at the time the former ED left, there were quite a few of us who were remaining in the institution, the pioneers. I think I was one of the directors that contributed so much to the uplifting of the face of Kampala. So why not? Why not me then? So I was quite experienced, and the minister then felt it wise to appoint me in acting capacity, because there wouldn't be a vacuum. The engineering directorate, which was heading, was the biggest directorate in terms of budget, and it was touching most of the things that, the pains that people feel in the city. For example, the roads, the potholes, the flooding, the lighting. So the built environment was all under engineering. So I think I was well placed to take the wheels of KCCA, and I think I did a good job during my time. Regarding why I stayed acting, I think that is a question for the appointing authority. Of course, there are so many considerations, I believe, with regard to the position of ED of Kampala. KCCA is a very political environment, very, very political. It's not only technical. So there are many considerations, but at least I'm still happy that I had the opportunity to serve Kampala, and I served it well. Because during my time, there are so many things that we did while I was acting executive director. And I know that there are still so many programs we left behind, just about to start, which the current team is starting to implement. For example, we were able to bring on board funding from the African Development Bank, which is the largest project ever in the life of KCCA. So the works are going to start. I think they are now at tender, and they are going to do maybe about 70 kilometers of roads in the city, major roads, roads like Sintema Road. That one has been in a very sorry state for a long time, from Mengo to the bypass. There are roads like Nakawa Luzira Road to be made 4-lane, Spring Road from Wampewo roundabout up to the MTN switch in Bugolobi, also to become 4-lane, the industrial area road, 6th Street. So all that is packaged in that project, and it is starting very soon. Okay. So people of Kampala should have hope. Yes. Then we also brought on funding from JICA. JICA stands for Japan International Cooperation Agency. Yes. They gave us a grant of 83 billion shillings, a grant. This is free money.
Which we're not going to have to give back.
Yeah, we don't have to give back.
Okay.
That. And it's going to go towards improving 30 junctions in Kampala. 30. Okay. So those 30 junctions are all going to be signalized, all of them, and they are going to be coordinated. Yeah. Because under that same project, they are going to build for us a traffic control center at Kampala Capital City Authority headquarters. Okay. So that's another project starting this year. Okay. So quite a number of things. The improvement of downtown Kampala. We have there's a study there. I tend to say we because I still have KCC and me, but it's going out slowly. Yes. But I'm still a Kampalan, so I think I can still say we. Yes. So there's a study going on there to improve downtown Kampala, redevelop the old taxi park, create multi-level parking, commercial space, a transport hub, like all modern cities have. Even expanding agriculture at Chanja, all those projects we got during my time. I think it has been a very positive contribution to the city of Kampala. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break with Andrew while we allow him to sip his coffee. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Andrew more about these projects. There are so many people who believe that plans are beautifully put in place, but Andrew threw in the towel. So what next? Where do we have another engineering director who has seen certain bit of life in development as a civil engineer in Netherlands, equivalent to Andrew at City Hall? And if they're there, are they going to actually bring this to life? Right at the moment, KCC seems to be going back to KCC days of many potholes on the road, and so many people seem to think that we're about to start swimming. But we want to ask Andrew afterward if that is going to be possible. As of now, Andrew is giving us really a very good positive light onto the future focus of what lies ahead at Kampala Capital City Authority. And of course, I promise you, we're going to bring the executive director here at some point, the new team, to hear if this is going to continue. Otherwise, stay right there. This is the CEO bench, and my name is Eddie Okila, engineer Andrew Chitaka in the studio. We'll be right back after the break. People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Andrew, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Eddie.
And this is called a bench. It's meant for the CEOs, and you will not see us quite very excited because we want to take you on a journey of understanding many things that happen. Correct. Just before we went to a break, Andrew, you had given us a clear picture of what the plans are, what we call here the future focused into, the city of Kampala.
Correct. Yeah.
This program deals with change management. Change management has 5 steps.
Yeah.
And these 5 steps means planning, organizing ourselves to move forward, looking at the things that we need to do, and 4, looking at the people that we have, a human resource, are they ready to move forward? And 5, do they understand what we're talking about? The new administration that came into Kampala City Authority from KCCA and into the foray of Kampala Capital City Authority,
Yes.
which was led by Madame Jennifer Musisi and a number of you, the directors. Was that change really managed properly? From the government point of view to the team that came in, did we manage the change properly? Was that change clearly communicated? We saw a lot of fighting from the city dwellers with the authority at some point. Was a huge gap in between there, and some of the beautiful things that you're talking about here was difficult to be implemented in the past or at the beginning when you just started. Along the way, it started settling down, but Jennifer Musisi was going on. You were coming in as an acting ED, and at the same time, you were the director for engineering.
Yes.
Many of the changes we're talking about actually spring out from your docket.
Correct.
Were these changes managed both from internally and externally, in your view?
Well, strictly this would be my view.
Yeah.
Other people could have different views, but I'm thinking that internally the change that happened at KCCA was long overdue. At KCC, it was long overdue. The institution had lost a lot of credibility. Even the building where it was residing itself was in a sorry state. There was lack of trust. They could not attract any funding from development partners. Government had kind of given up on them because of the track record. So the change that happened there to bring on KCCA was long overdue. Of course, any change will bring about impacts. They have to be impacts. It can impact you positively or negatively.
Yeah.
You see? So those that were impacted negatively, well, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. And I don't think there was a program to kind of talk to them, counsel them, especially the staff of KCC then.
Yeah.
I don't think that was there. So maybe that is a shortcoming that in future organizations that are changing should get to know about and prepare for it. Because these are people who also have, looking at the institution as their future.
Yeah.
That's where they are earning, they are living, they have families. So there needs to be that change management, counseling, and maybe advising them on how they can retool themselves for the field outside. So that wasn't done, but creating KCCA definitely helped Kampala City. Now, with regards to the population outside, now these are people, the city dwellers, who are used to so many, to their way of life, which may not necessarily be legal. They were used to doing so many illegal things, okay, like street vending, like parking on pavements, like littering. So many things were happening in the city. And I think if we are to go out on a sensitization program, it would take years probably for the message to get home that we need to change behavior. So we didn't have much time. So the enforcement had to start immediately because the laws are there against all these practices. The laws are there. So KCCA had to start enforcement urgently, while also telling the people to desist from these bad practices. So the people outside were heavily impacted upon, and they had to react by resisting, by protesting and all that. But after some time it leveled out, and they soon understood that KCCA means business, and that what we were doing was wrong. But of course, there's also the other side of it, in that as we had already talked about, the informal sector is so big in Kampala. People don't have formal jobs. and that is their livelihood. So if you're removing them from the streets, where are you taking them? That was the other challenge.
Yes.
How are they going to survive? So during that time, we tried very much to create space in the markets. We tried very much to educate people on how else they can earn a living. We actually tried even to teach them how they can start cottage industries, like growing mushrooms in homes, making soap. Actually, right now, many people are making liquid soap in their homes. We try to tell them how they can utilize their small spaces for agriculture. A space just as big as this room can grow enough vegetables for your home. And we have a demonstration. We had a demonstration farm at Chanja. It is still there. It's still going strong. So
is it open to anyone to come in?
It is open to anyone on a working day. You just need to go there, and you'll be taken on a tour. You can learn how to grow vegetables in your backyard. You can learn how to keep pigs without the offensive smell. There is good technology there which can help you. Even fish farming, a lot of things are going on there. So we tried to teach people on alternative ways of survival. But of course the numbers are huge. The numbers are huge. There needs to be many more programs, not only by KCCA but the entire government, to see how to employ people in different sectors. More markets are being built, of course. Busega is being built. Kamocha is being built. Chitintale. So they will absorb some
These
people.
are all to absorb the people who are sales on our streets, to go now to the market.
Go into the markets. But there's this other mentality of people. You know, we have that mentality that you need to sell closest to where the person passes.
Where the road walking, I'm almost stepping on their clothes. I'm almost stepping on their product.
Exactly. Where they see pedestrians passing or even cars passing, that's where they want to create the market. And even us, the road users, encourage it. Because you'll find so many motorists at traffic junctions putting down their windshields and calling for butunda, some oranges, and they buy them. So if people were not buying from them, they wouldn't be there. Similarly, on the streets, people are walking by, then he says, oh, at home I don't have onions. Then they buy onions on the streets. So we do not yet have this culture of saying that things are bought from the market or from the supermarket. That is where I can only get them. Okay? We encourage this business, and that's why they come on the street.
Andrew,
so there's still a lot of work to do in that area.
The laws are quite clear about this. Why is it that Kampala Capital City Authority, either under Jennifer or under your administration leadership, was not able to sort of like look at these problems that we're looking at and see how to deal with it? Why do we continue to have these people on the street day in, day out, and we don't seem to see a deliberate effort to either educate them? I don't quite believe that we should be arresting them all the time, because we keep arresting them, they keep coming back, which is a clear manifestation that the corruption within the city, law enforcement and the people itself, and in our system in general, is quite high. Because if I am picked, and then before I enter the court, I am out, then tomorrow I am back on the street again, the same person. What is the explanation for that? Why is it that there have not been a deliberate effort to see that we actually start a program that educates these people to try sort of like look at the attitude and perception of the people who sell on the streets that keeps messing up some of the infrastructures we put in place to try and make our city better? Why has there not been that kind of arrangement?
Actually, there has been some effort in that direction. Maybe it hasn't been enough because of the size of the problem. And KCCA alone may not be able to tackle it. It needs firm support of the political leadership in the country, because educating alone will not solve the problem. I may come and you educate me, but if you haven't provided for me alternative space, I'll still come back. I'll know that, well, I'm doing something that is not right, but where can I go? Do I have some entandikwa to start up something? So I think government programs now like the Miuka, which is coming up, plus others which we've had before, they may help in helping people transition from that street business to some other kind of business. So it's a problem bigger than KCCA. I know they will continue to educate them, but they need that bigger support from the central government and the political support mostly. Because there are so many laws that are in place, but implementing them may cause a lot of social unrest. That's why they've been put, in abeyance for the time being. So government needs to support KCCA to deal with some of these big things. For example, we had prepared a plan for border borders. We had looked at all the stages all over the city. Some of them are stationed in dangerous places. There, people can easily be knocked, the border borders themselves. And we had identified the places which can be gazetted for a border stage. And there was a plan to create a proper stage with a shelter so that border borders can continue to operate, but in an organized manner. We had also created a map indicating these locations where they can be. We had also created a border free zone in the middle of the city where there would be no stage. So all these things had been done, but again, it would lead to loss of so many stages, meaning that those people now need to be supported to go into some other business. So, and this is what I'm talking about. It needs, KCCA needs to work very well with the other arms of government to tackle these problems.
Change management, Andrew, is not an easy process for people of greater heights in leadership like you. How are you managing it going forward?
That's a mouthful, eh? Well, yes, it is. When you grow in your career and reach at the top of an institution, the next move is exit. It is exit. You cannot again hope that some other higher post will be created for you so that you can stay in. No, once you reach the top, the next move is exiting. So it has to be in your mind that sometime I have to move out of this, but life has to continue. So for me, as an engineer, I've been quite active in the engineering fraternity. I served on the engineering registration board, the board that regulates engineering. I served there for 6 years. I've been active in the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers. So my networks in the engineering field are quite wide. And I think there are quite a number of opportunities there for providing consultancy services. And that is what I'm looking at. I'm still open to serve government if the opportunity arises, but that's what I'm looking at, and that is what brings me satisfaction. I want to take you straight to my next question as we listen towards the end of the interview. Question number 7. City Hall receives quite a huge change from the time you and others, entered the City Hall, and the city of Kampala benefited a lot from many of the leadership strides that were seen from your time during the CC time and your time. But we now begin to see a drift back to KCCA days with a number of potholes on our roads, and Kampala people are now crying, asking, Musisi, where are you? I'm sure it's just a matter of time before they start asking, where is Engineer Chitaka? Because why are we going back? Why are we seeing this drift back? You have just walked out of City Hall. Could that explain the reason why you decided to throw in the towel as an engineer? Because I think KCCA still needed you in that department, pretty much even more than would be in the directorate office. I mean, in the executive director. Yes, because this is actually really some serious area of development in our city. Well, I personally think 9 years is quite a long time in an institution, and that's the time I spent in KCCA. And I've always known that the transformation of Kampala will not start and end with one person. This is something that many have to contribute to, okay? But I remember that when I was there, the challenge of potholes was quite big. We didn't have enough money to repair all the roads. But the strategy was that we need to keep ahead of them, at least. A stitch in time, keeps 9. So, because you are torn between two. You either leave the road to go to the dogs and become impassable as you wait for the big money to redo it completely, or you patch it in time, it remains motorable, and then the big money finds you there and you repair it. So we chose the latter, and we said, okay, we don't have enough money, but at least let us be ahead of these potholes. When the money finally comes, because government has many priorities, as you know. When the money finally comes, it will come, we'll rehabilitate the roads, and then we shall be free of these potholes. We shall maybe only do minimum maintenance for about 10-15 years to come, until that time when we have to overhaul them again. So most of the roads in Kampala long outlived their design life. Some of them were built in the 60s, some even in the 50s. So it's actually a miracle that they've spent this long. So we had actually prepared a project for looking at now the tarmac roads, but which are in sorry state, which require a lot of repetitive maintenance. We had prepared a project of that kind. If it receives government's blessings, then the new team should implement it and repair all the potholed roads. It's something ready already in KCCA. So I think what needs to be done now is to improve the state of readiness to patch these potholes as they come. Yeah, there are many mechanisms you can use. You can have framework contracts whereby any potholes that come, you quickly call in a contractor to go and repair it, or you bring on your in-house team to repair it, depending on how big it is and the technicalities involved. So you could use those framework contracts to address those potholes that come up here and there.
I have a question from David Okwi. Is an electrical engineer, and he says engineers solves problems while politicians create them. How does he reconcile the switch? Ask engineer Andrew Chitaka to respond to that.
What switch is he talking about? I didn't switch from engineering to politics.
It seems to, most people seem to think that you switched from being an engineer to politics. That's why we have many potholes now in Kampala. You became a political leader as a leader in that aspect. So if I understand what David Okwi is saying, engineers solve problems while politicians create them all often. How does engineer Chitaka, how does he reconcile the switch between the two?
Well, when I was acting ED, actually most people were mistaking me for a politician. But it's actually a technical job.
And I want you to address that to the camera, because many of these guys believe that.
The job of ED at KCCA is a technical job. It's a technical job, but as you know, as you grow higher in your career, you tend to be more of a manager than actually someone who is in the works, doing the actual work. So you have to interface with politicians. That's why sometimes you are taken to be a politician, whereas not. But it's very important to explain to politicians what is required for things to happen. Okay? And you also need to understand their point of view. Because politicians, they think in terms of their term of office. Today I'm there, next time someone else may be voted in and I'm out. So what will I have to show in my time? So you also need to be sensitive to their concerns. They want to show impact in a short time. So you need to plan together, tell them what is possible and what is not, okay? But then I think they've probably not been very helpful in looking for funding. Because whereas you, the technical person, you are busy making plans, preparing designs, you cannot at the same time be the same person looking for the money. Okay? So they need to do more advocacy to get the money into KCCA so that these people can can do their work without undue stress. So they haven't been very helpful in that, and I think they need to do better. Okay?
Andrew, I have another question here coming from Russ, is a URA official, of course, up at the border. He says, Edio Killer, thank you very much. Please ask that engineer, how do you explain the terrible quality of road repairs instead of the replacement, other than the kickback culture in the road construction and repair bridging process?
Well, I think that touches on what I mentioned before. When a road is designed, it is designed for a certain period. It is supposed to serve a certain period. Now, when that period passes, it starts requiring a lot of maintenance. It's like an old shirt or trouser. Something, it gets a hole here, you repair it, then another one comes here. So to a person who uses the road, you'll always see people repairing. Some of them may not be the same potholes, but they keep repairing. The effort is to ensure the road keeps motorable. But in actual fact, what is needed is total revamping. Total reconstruction. Of course, total reconstruction requires a lot of money. So if you don't have the money, what do you do? Should you stop patching it and wait for the big money, or you should continue patching it until you get enough money? Look at the situation of someone renting a house. You've just finished your school, you've gotten a job, the money isn't so much, but you want to become independent, you go and rent a house. Of course, you know that you are paying money to the landlord, and maybe over 10 years, the money you've paid could build you a new house. But you don't have yet the big money to build your own house. You have to continue paying the landlord until that time comes, either when you get a loan or something, that you build the new house. So you are in a catch-22 situation. So that is why. But of course, instances of poor quality, I cannot rule them out, because some of the contractors doing this work, if not supervised well, may do poor quality. So it goes on the KCCA staff to properly supervise these contractors. And also, when you use your in-house teams, there is a tendency to be kind to yourselves. That after all, what are they going to do to us? We are KCCA. We have repaired this pothole. Even if we come back and it has failed, there is no monetary, penalty that you are going to receive. For a contractor, there is a penalty, but for an in-house team, there is tendency to be complacent. So the in-house teams also need to be as serious. The kind of scrutiny you put on a contractor, you must also put it on your in-house team to make sure they do a good job.
Wow. We are almost hastening up towards the end of this program, and of course we're going to let Andrew leave the studio and go back to work. I have quite a number of them. I want to sample some of the questions coming from the diaspora. This one says, Edio Killer, thank you very much for that program. I think we need to have more of these kind of programs on our television, as opposed to the usual politicians talking a lot of nonsense on our television, flooded with so much people without information and speaking so much that they can't deliver. My name is Dennis, sending this. I'm watching this show from the US. It's quite late for me, but I think I like what Andrew Chitaka is saying. But I have a problem. Andrew needs to respond to this. 9 years of his time at Kampala Capital City Authority, he's talked about so much business coming in, so much money being given to us to repair the roads. Why is it that we don't see this coming? And when we fix the roads, we often don't make very good decisions. Case in point, the road where I have built, which falls under his administration, the recent one in Kulambiro. Too many hams on the road, small hams, and now it's destroying our shops. As an engineer who has lived and worked in Netherlands, what does he have to say about those hams that are usually placed on the road that becomes an irritable part of the residents that live on that road? Andrew, that's Dennis coming from the US.
Thank you very much for that question.
Yeah.
You know, when a road is designed, it is for a certain purpose.
Yeah.
Now, a road like Kulambiro Road, it's actually in a residential area.
Correct.
Most of that area is built up. It's not a highway. It's not a high-speed road like you would look at the Entebbe Expressway or the Northern Bypass. This is a road with a lot of frontage, a lot of on and off movements. So you cannot have high speed on that road. The unfortunate thing is that when the road was built, the speeds went up so much. People enjoyed it so much, the drivers, and they forgot about other road users. We have pedestrians there. We have people who have been used to an environment of very low speed, very few vehicles on their dirt road. They can cross the road at any point. So immediately you open the road, the speeds go up and people are knocked dead. We don't want to have that. So actually the speeds went up very much on Kulambiro Ring Road, and now the demand for humps went up. The residents were up in arms. They said, oh, we need humps here, we need humps there. But of course we didn't put them indiscriminately everywhere. The design already had humps and rumble strips, those ones which do...
the ones which destroys our cars the most.
Well, maybe he's talking about those rumble strips. The design already had locations which should have those humps and rumble strips. For example, schools, churches, sharp corners. We had to put those things there. Because now, you may serve the car owner by removing the humps or not putting them there in that case, but then you'll be killing people. So there's a section of the public which doesn't drive, but they also need a safe environment. So we had to balance the two. Of course, the rumble strip is quite rough on a car, but if constructed properly, it is not supposed to be like that. Actually, with time, they settle a bit, such that you feel it in your car, but it doesn't damage your shocks. And it's necessary, because should there be no rumble strip, and you hit a hump without any warning, the rumble strip is supposed to warn you that there's a hump ahead. So if you hit a hump without any warning, it can be catastrophic. Your car can actually fly off the road. So they have to come together. So he should get accustomed to driving at a slow speed on that road. Maybe a speed, residential areas usually 30 kilometers. Between 50 and 30. Instead of driving at 80. Okay, then you'll not have any problem.
All right. All right, so I'm going to sample too many of these questions, but I want to sample another one. They say, I'm watching the show from Australia. Thank you very much. My name is Dennis. Originally from Gulu, now living in Australia. I lived in Kampala for some time, and I moved to Australia just about the time Jennifer Musisi was taking over Kampala. It was a good thing. Initially, we didn't see that team, that included Andrew Chitaka, were really serious, because Kampala had lived in the wrong for so long that the good was coming and were fighting it. Now we are crying of them. But it's even getting more serious that the serious brain like Chitaka are leaving City Hall, moving somewhere else, yet he talks of bigger projects coming. Was it being forced out because they want to bring incompetent people in so they can eat the money? Can you ask Andrew, why is it that our junctions that we said we are going to fix and the flyovers in Kampala have not been put in place, and yet he seems to be the most refined engineer of our time, leaving City Hall at the time when we need it most? Somebody is asking about the flyovers. What happened to our flyovers?
I think he has a point, and I think he has been keenly following issues in Kampala. Well, the flyover project, first and foremost, is a project being executed by UNRA. UNRA is the implementing agency. But KCCA, because it's under the jurisdiction of KCCA, it is on the implementing committee.
Yeah.
Now, that project had an implementing period of 3 years. The Clock Tower and Zambia Road section.
Yeah.
And I think maybe could be that two of them have gone. I am informed that they lost a lot of time because of the relocation of utilities and some land compensation issues. But I think that the quality of contractor they have and the consultant are going to deliver that project.
Okay.
They are going to, I don't know exactly the timelines how they are now, but I'm very sure that project is going to be delivered, and the traffic jam at Clock Tower, Katwe Road, ShopRite will be no more. It could be possible that within next year it is going to be delivered, and then they will also be starting on the phase 2, which covers the rest of Mukwano Road. You know, Zambia Road and Mukwano Road are going to be widened to 4 lanes. And it will go to Mukwano roundabout. There will be a flyover there, Kitgum Junction, a flyover, Nakumat roundabout, or Garden City, and then also Wampeo roundabout.
Okay.
So you'll find that that area, which is always congested, you're going to have roads above, which are going to take away most of the through moving traffic, and then they leave the roads down for the local traffic. It's going to happen. It's a pity these things take quite long. Of course, it's being funded by JICA. It's a project funded by a development partner. Now, these development partners also have the cycle in which they do things. It's not like getting money from the consolidated fund and you do something. That will be faster. But they also have certain steps you follow to be able to access money from their fund. So we have to follow those steps. You have to do everything according to their guidelines, and then you'll have the money to do that. They are going to do it. The junctions, as I told you, again, they are helping us to fund the improvement of a number of junctions, 30 of them. Under the ADB project, about 23 are going to be done. Right now, I think there are about 14 being done under the World Bank project. You can imagine, by the time we came into KCCA 2011, this entire city of almost 4 million people during day, it had only 9 junctions signalized. So how much control do you have over traffic with just 9 junctions? Some of them not even working properly. I've been to a number of cities when we were preparing that project for the junctions. We went to quite a number of Japanese cities to look at the model that best suits Kampala. And we went to a city like Tokyo. The traffic control center of Tokyo is so huge that they control maybe about 18,000 junctions in the city. And it was clearly way beyond our capacity. We are not, we don't need it yet. We went to another city of, I think it was Nagoya, very huge. And we had to find a city which had similar characteristics to Kampala. And then that is the kind of control center we are prepared to manage in the city, and that is what is being designed. So the level of control of traffic that we had in Kampala was so low for the number of vehicles that we have. Even the infrastructure was of very low grade. So how many traffic police will you deploy at all those junctions without signals? You can't have that manpower. So we need to automate these things. These things are coming. I agree that that was Mr. Okwi. Dennis in Australia. I agree that things are taking quite long. But I think it would help if KCCA publicized all these programs and gave to the public the timelines under which they are going to happen. They are surely going to happen.
Well, we are coming to the end of the show, and we surely really need to have Andrew go. The show is for 1 hour, and somebody saying, thank you very much. I'll follow just that last bit. My name is James. I follow the last bit of Andrew talking. beautiful plans, but why is it our things always start to come out when the people are out of office? Andrew is now giving us information. Now we needed this more of him when he was there as the acting ED. Maybe this would have gotten him, you know, confirmed as the ED. But that's my comment. Good to hear from you, Andrew. We need to do more of this. Now that you are out, what would be your best advice as a man who was at the helm of developing most of the infrastructure in Kampala City today? Can you ask Andrew that question, Eddie Okela?
Well,
they're saying now that you are out.
Now that I'm out.
Yes. Looking from outside into inside and what you have left there.
Looking from outside, I think that KCCA needs a lot of support. They still need a lot of support from the central government. I know the institution was created to be self-sustaining, but it is not yet there. Their institution's main source of income comes from property rates, the money they charge to property owners, then trading license, and then maybe to some extent the advertising. It's not the level of revenue they get, cannot even do a road. The most they can do is maybe collect some garbage in the city and maybe pay salaries, things like that. So they still need a lot of support. But also, I think there needs to be a program to educate people that more taxation is needed in the city for it to be self-sustaining. Most of the cities we visited, they have huge budgets, but most of the money is generated by the city itself. So they need to have that that ability to do things on their own instead of waiting always for government to come in with a grant or waiting for a development partner to give you some money. For example, at one point we were thinking of congestion charging. It was still a concept then. It needs to be developed to be realized. But I think that if everybody who used the roads in Kampala paid a small fraction of money towards their maintenance or towards their further development or towards development of good public transport. All cities have good public transport. The trains are working in many cities, the trams, good bus services. If we can have good public transport out of money generated by the city itself, then it is going to draw away so many people from the roads. You would be comfortable to park your car at home and go and pick a bus, go and pick a train, and move comfortably. Reduce the pollution levels. Okay, so there needs to be such big plans for raising revenue in Kampala. Otherwise, we shall always complain about potholes. Why are you doing repetitive work? But if there is no money to rehabilitate, then that is what you are going to see all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Andrew, this is your last question, but this one says, no, wait. We the people of Chitebi, I'm even laughing right now when Andrew says we need to pay more money. Ask Andrew, do we continue to pay more money and people keep squandering and the roads continue to remain the same? What mechanism do we have in place to make sure that the taxes we actually pay to Kampala Capital City Authority is not diverted like we always hear, and then often not, they have no money in their coffers to continue building. Recently we've seen all the money being diverted to Parliament, so they have to go to Parliament and get money. How are they going to do it? Anyway, that's a story for another day, but ask Andrew whether there is a system in place to do that. In summary, I don't want you to let Andrew Chitaka go before he can answer the question of Chitebi. For 9 years, even more, KCC has been dumping garbage in Chitebi. The road leading to Chitebi, where they dump things from Kalerwe that part, has a lot of potholes, heavy like a grave. Some can even bury a car, and KCA moves there every day. These are actually caused by KCA trucks that dump things there. Andrew, as the Director of Engineering and a former Executive Director at City Hall, why is that road, this particular road, not fixed all your time?
Well, thank you very much. I think the road he's talking about is Chitezi,
Chitezi, yes.
and not Chitebi.
Yes.
Because Chitebi is getting a brand new road.
I think he actually meant Chitezi because that's where the dumping is.
That's where the dumping is. That is true. There are plans to do that road. And actually, it's going to be done to link up with the Unura Road, which can take you actually from Pelere up to, I think it should be Matuga. Yeah, that side.
Okay.
The plans are there. It is true the road is in a sorry state, and it's actually beyond patching. So KCA should be in better position to answer when it's going to be done. I'm out of there. I cannot speak for them on this one, but the plan is there.
Yes.
However, with regard to funding, I think there are mechanisms in place to keep the taxpayers' money safe. All the money that is collected from the people is well accounted for. During my time and during the time before I became acting ED, KCCA got unqualified audit reports by the Auditor General. So the money is well accounted for, but it is not much, it's not enough. Secondly, for us to get money, you cannot avoid Parliament. Parliament appropriates money to all government institutions. So by going there, it doesn't mean that money has been diverted to Parliament and then I have to ask them again for it. So they are the ones who appropriate money. In fact, before Parliament approves the national budget, you can't spend. You can't spend. So let him rest assured that the road is going to be done. The road to Chitezi will be done. But as far as timelines are concerned, I think the people in KCCA now are better positioned to tell him when.
All right, and finally, what next for Engineer Andrew Chitaka going forward? Andrew, we've come to the end of this. What next for Engineer Chitaka going forward? Somebody is saying, can he give us the road? He speaks very profoundly. Can he give us a model road in Kampala? Anyway, of his choice, and we support him. How do we help him to give us to enjoy some of those Netherlands experience he's talking about? But for me right here, finally, Andrew, what is next for Engineer Andrew Chitaka going forward, moving out of City Hall? What are you going to do next as a leader?
Well, first of all, in my private capacity, as I said, I'm looking towards offering consultancy services. But I would like to still be active in the affairs of Kampala and in government. So I'm still available to serve if called upon. I think that I can share a lot of experiences and offer a lot of advice to many institutions that are going through change. And also to engineering projects going on in the country. I am ready to serve on that. And I also want to thank whoever is asking how can we help Andrew Chitaka. Thank you for those kind sentiments. I'm ready to serve, and I think given my experience, I should be able to move on in my profession. Thank you.
Well, you've heard it from Andrew right there. Thank you very much for being part of the show. You've had the final word from Andrew Chitaka. He's still ready to serve, and he's still ready to, give and offer his services, professional services to the city of Kampala, and of course to the government of Uganda, where and when he's called upon. But at the moment, he's definitely going to go into private consultancy, and I think that's the best way to do. When you serve, move out as a leader, step back, look at it from outside and see if there's something that you can help improve from inside. This has been the CEO Bench on change management and what next for a leader going forward. You've heard it from Andrew Chitaka right there. I'm going to ask Andrew, any final words to the young people there, engineers who don't know how to make it, struggling to make it, don't know what to do and how to do it? Can you share that as you go?
Well, first of all, thank you for viewing this program. But I want to tell all young engineers that it is very, very important to be professional in their fields. Once you excel in what you are doing, a point will come where you'll not be the one looking for the jobs, but the jobs will be looking for you. So be professional, be alert with what is going on in the industry, and also register with the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers and the Engineers Registration Board, and that way you'll be able to benefit from the wider engineering fraternity, so that you can grow in your career and be able to earn well. Thank you very much for viewing this program, but I remain at your disposal in case you want to contact me. You can always contact me and I'll offer you some good advice. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. You've heard it from Engineer Andrew Chitaka right there, the former Acting Executive Director of KCCA, but also the Director of Engineering at City Hall. Many of the roads that we're talking about in Kampala and many of the infrastructure we're talking about in Kampala City have passed through his hands. And I think that we can still get a lot from Andrew Chitaka. Outgoing executive director, now he's a private man going into private consultancy. Please reach out to him and we'll be able to share as much as possible if you reach out to us for his contacts. We don't give that on air for everyone, but you can write to us, houseoftalenttv@gmail.com, if you want anything, houseoftalenttv@gmail.com, and we'll be able to give you contacts to Engineer Andrew Chitaka. Otherwise, it's been the CEO Bench, change management, leadership, and what next. Until next time, we'll be right back with another guest that is a surprise for you. Stay blessed and have a good afternoon or good morning or good night from wherever you are. Edio Killer, Engineer Andrew Chitaka. It's a wrap on the CEO Bench.
It's a CEO bench, so usually people want to assume that all CEOs are overlearned and stuff like that. So I will change the script this time around. I consider myself a certified hustler.
If I'm looking to know who you are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan?
That's the easiest question, I think, to answer. I am a typical Lao man from Erute North, in a place called Ogur, and where I will be laid to rest is in a village called Agweng. So if you go there and you just say Otoa Tony, they won't really know me because my father is also Otoa Tony. You have to ask for Junior, and when you're asking, you have to ask with an accent. Junior Tikwene, where is Junior? And they will identify me. But I'm typically Ugandan, only Ugandan, from Lira. I pride myself from being from Lira. Earlier on, I was joking and saying I'm the coolest Lago south of Karuma. When you cross Karuma, there are so many. But when you're down in the south after Karuma, I think I'm number one.
Wow. Well, now that you know Tony Otoa is Ugandan, and of course, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think it's the love for country, love for nation. You know, truth be told, the country is in a lot of, it's a crisis. Leadership crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. There's so many mismatching areas. But at the end of the day, it's home. You know, you cannot run and abandon your home because of the issues in your home. I think that then creates an opportunity for you to do something to change what's happening and what you see as a crisis. So in terms of what I see as a value, or what I take out of that for me, I think is just the love for country, the need to serve country the best way I can. And I mean, I can't say I can change everything, but the little I can do to create a difference, I think is more meaningful.
Wow. Yeah. Mr. Tony Otoa, growing up, what did you want to be in life? And what was the journey like for Mr. Otoa?
Yeah, you know, my father is crazy. My father would call us and he would show me the compass. The idea was supposed to be a pilot. You know, the planes would fly over our house and my father would be like, yeah, you're going to be a pilot. Yeah. But of course, as you grow, you realize that you have so many things that really define you. I was never a sportsman. So I enjoyed a lot of debate and, you know, a lot of indoor activities. And that is, I think, what really drove me into some of the things that I do up to today. Public speaking, the love for debates and really a lot of intellectual discourse and all this stuff. But besides that, I think it's also the fact that I won't lie. I did not know what I wanted to be.